Hey, welcome back. Simon Lees here. I'm going to do a pro guitar tip for you. This is about hand-to-eye coordination. It's one of the things that it's useful when for certain techniques. You know, when your hand has to travel from somewhere down on the low frets to somewhere up on the high frets, and you want to make sure you hit the target. So that's what it's all about, target practice. Good example of when you need to be able to do this, if you can picture the end of the Hotel California solo. I'm gonna hopefully this video doesn't get banned from 150 countries just because I mentioned Hotel California, because that's kind of what they're like. But anyway, if I just do the little bit at the end, there's a couple of slides, and you know, I'll show you what I mean. Now, it's been a while since I played that, so let's have a couple of goes at it. But the idea is it's quite tricky to sort of hit that note and not overshoot, you know, not go too far, or you know, miss it by a couple of frets. You've got to hit that spot on, and although I did pick it twice, you're only supposed to pick it once. So now the hand-to-eye coordination means you look at the target, you don't look at your finger, because if you look at your finger as you're sliding towards the target, you actually end up going past the target before you realise you've arrived. So the idea is, look at the fret that you're sliding to, and then hopefully the shock of seeing your finger hitting the target will make you stop. That's the idea. That's kind of how it works for me. So that's a different target. So I thought, well, how else could you sort of practice this? How could you kind of use a different example other than that? And one thing I thought of is a well-known riff that tends to stay in one area of the neck, but it covers 3 or 4 strings. And it goes like this. Now that tune, I say, if you keep your hand in one place, use different fingers, it's not that difficult to play. But imagine trying to do that on one string. Your eye has got to be one step ahead of your finger. So let's try it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to map it out beforehand. Now I'm one of those terrible guitarists who tends to think of numbers rather than notes, but I'm going to try and do a bit of both for you. So I'm going to do this all on the B string. So it's going to start on the 3rd fret, which is D, and then it goes up to a high D, which is on the 15th fret. You can use the dots to help with this, because the dot on the 3rd fret is the same note as the dot on the 15th fret. So basically the first dot you come to has got the same notes as the first dot you come to after the 12th fret. So, and that's how this riff starts. It's a low D, then a high D. Now if you picture the riff, the next note is 14 on the G string, which is A. So what I'm going to do is try and find A on the B string. Now the way I kind of think of this is, I know the 12th fret's B because the 12th fret is the same as the open string. So A must be 2 frets below that, because there's an A sharp in between. So now the 4th note is 12 on the G string, which is G. 12 and 0 are the same. So I was already on A there on the 10th fret, so G is, I know it's 2 frets lower than A, so that'll be on 8. Now I am still using different fingers. I'm not trying to do this with one finger. I mean, I don't want to make it ridiculously hard. So if I use my first finger for the lowest notes, and then I can use my little finger for the highest notes, and then my hand doesn't have to travel so far. That's the idea. So, whoops, this hand-to-eye coordination right there. So, now the next note if you picture the original riff, that's a high G. So you're doing an octave there. You're going from the low G to the high G. When you're doing it on one string, use the dots again. So that's G on the B string, which is on the 8th fret. That's just past the 3rd dot. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and then it's in the gap there. So if I go after the 12th fret, 1, 2, 3, it's going to be on the next dot, on the next note there. So I haven't got to bother counting up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I haven't got to count 12 frets. Use the dots, the dots are brilliant. If you've got a classical guitar, forget about it, or paint them on. So anyway, so on the original riff it goes. So it's high G and then back to A, and then F sharp and then back to A. So. So those are the notes. As the riff progresses, only the first note changes. So the first time round, it's on D, and then the second time round, it's on E, and then on the third one, it's G, and then on the last one, it's the same as the first one. It's back to D again. So all these things make it kind of really complicated to play on one string, or difficult to play on one string, but it's a good exercise, and hopefully through doing this your hand-to-eye coordination will start to become a lot better. It doesn't matter too much about trying to find millions of riffs that you can try this on. I mean, you can do, but just doing this on Sweet Child of Mine should make a difference, and the idea is it's being able to get your fingers to where you want them to go as quickly as possible, and making sure that they hit the target accurately, so you get the right notes. Okay, so I'm going to try this slowly, and then we'll see how it goes. So you get the idea. It is quite tricky. You think, well, with practice I could probably get that a bit better. I mean, if I if I really go for it. Yeah, I always like to reward myself by playing something that I know I can do well. So yeah, nice short pro tip for you. I'm going to do something along the same sort of lines for next time, but it's going to be to do with a specific song. So I'm going to kind of show you how to play a really fancy riff from not a massively famous song. If you're into your shred guitar players, chances are you'll have come across it, but I'm going to tease you with that. All will be revealed in about a week's time. So as always, thanks for watching. Give that a go. It's just sort of taking you out of your comfort zone as well, and playing riffs that you're kind of familiar with, using a different technique. And imagine if you tried to get that as quick as the record, or even quicker, doing it on one string. Your hand will be moving like lightning, but it's good for your brain, good for your response time, good for your reactions, all that sort of thing. So yeah, it should help you. Take care, and I'll see you soon.